On this episode of Locked On Angels, Perry spoke at the winter meetings and had some very interesting things to say about free agents, improving the ball club, and the plan for Anthony Rendon. We've got you covered with all the Halo details. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the First Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, it's our third off season here at Locked On Angels. We'll be heading into our fourth full season next spring. We're really looking forward to that. We're here 5 days a week until next week. We'll drop down to 3 episodes a week, but we'll have some in-between content, shorter form content for you to listen to or watch wherever you choose to enjoy Locked On Angels. On today's show, Perry spoke yesterday at the winter meetings, talked about a lot of things, including plans to improve the team, the timetable for that improvement, and so much more. We're going to get into all of those comments and have some really good conversations along the way. The stuff that Halo fans want to talk about. Mike, let's start with Perry Minasian's comments from the winter meetings.
Yeah, the first thing he talked about, John, was Anthony Rendon, who obviously is owed a whole lot of money over the next 2 years, 37 million for the next 2 seasons. And according to Perry, that's not stopping him from trying to improve the Halos at third base. I love this. He said, I'm not close-minded on anything. If there's somebody that fits, we're going to make a move, like Alec Boehm. Oh, I added that. He also
where'd
said,
that come from?
He also said that Anthony Rendon is athletic enough, get this, John, to move around the diamond. If we need Anthony at second, when he's healthy, he could do it. If we need him to play first, if he's healthy, we can do it. And he's more willing to do that. We have had open conversations, and he is open to all, and we have to be open to all. I don't want to be closed-minded on anything. John, I love those comments, and I find it interesting that this is the first time in, I think, forever with Anthony Rendon that there's been conversations, not just now, but before, about this guy not just being a lock for third base and a lock for the lineup. So does this sound more and more like Perry is actually sticking with that, hey, he's got to earn the right to play when it comes to Anthony Rendon?
I think in a roundabout way it does, when you consider the fact that when you pencil in a third baseman, for years it was Anthony Rendon. It's like, oh, you're going to the Nationals? Well, you're not playing third base because Rendon's over there. And it should have been that way, in Anaheim. And rightfully so, it had been, because he's still a really tremendous third baseman. And even when he's not performing at the plate, the defense that was there was fairly good and fairly solid. And you can go back and look and see that, he's had, errors here and there. Remember, there was a period of time where he just kept doing the sidearm thing and missing, left, missing right. But it seemed like he ironed that out in spring training. And now it's interesting to hear this kind of conversation around the fact that he could be moved from third base. And that's mostly out of necessity, in a sense, Mike, because you might want Anthony Rendon to give Nolan Schanuel a day off of his feet. Maybe it's a lefty starter on the mound, and Anthony Rendon can hit lefties really well. So maybe he's over there at first base. Second base is really interesting to me, considering he hasn't done that since the beginning of his career,
right?
Major league career, right? And so that would be, I don't know, quite an experiment to see over there. But I think that he would be capable. I think his defense at third base can prove that. I wouldn't force him to be at second base. I think if anything, if there's a move to be made, a move to first makes a lot of sense for me, especially if you can offset Nolan Schanuel against lefties. And Nolan Schanuel is not terrible against lefties.
Yeah,
but I'm
right.
saying if he needs a day off of his feet and it happens to be a lefty starter, and Rendon's being a bench piece this year, the world's most expensive bench piece, and then put him over there at first base. I think that's a good way to kind of, balance things out if you have to.
This almost raises his value a bit, right? If he's going to play some third base and he's going to play some first base, I anticipate him not playing second base because they have Newman, Rengifo. I mean, they have a good amount of players that can come in and move in and out there. And that's not a desperate need. Christian Moore might come up, right? It's not a desperate need, but I could see him playing third base and I could also see him playing first base. And I love the idea that he might be the backup for Nolan Schanuel. I think that this is a good strategy because this, again, raises his value because the conversation has always been like, can you get anything for him? Could you trade him away? Nobody's going to take that contract. He's not able to hit and he's only a third baseman. But if he's a backup first baseman, I think it raises his value to a place of, well, at least we have reason to play him, not we're forced to play him. I don't think we value enough to trade him off the team or whatever the hopeful conversation we can have about that. But I like this strategy. And it almost seems like, John, if I go back to Perry's comments, Perry said twice in those comments, we have to be open to everything. We have to be open to all. It's almost like he's saying, yeah, remember when we had these conversations, Rendon? I'm saying it out loud now so we can hold you accountable. All of us, we're all doing this together. Yeah. Like it just felt like it was right? We're doing this. We're moving forward with this, right?
Sometimes you and I are kind of frustrated, and so are everydayers and Angels fans at the lack of this is what we're doing that Perry Minasian has displayed over the years. Or you could be like the Phillies GM and be like, yeah, we're going to try everything to move Nolan Arenado, like you said yesterday. And everybody on MLB Network was like, did he just say that? Like,
right.
So this is kind of funny. The fact that, on the opposite end of the spectrum of Perry Minasian, there's, we're moving this guy. We're going to do everything we can to move him. It's like, oh, what did you just do with that relationship with Arenado if you can't move him somewhere? Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Mike, Perry on the team having a 99-loss season last season and how it's impacted their free agent interest. Perry said, in general, I don't think our place is a tough sell, meaning Anaheim, the Angel system. You'd be surprised how many people want to play here. It's a great place to play. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to spend the season. It's a great place for families, a good ballpark, great fan base. It's a great, not good place. Excuse me.
Yeah, not a good place.
Yeah, that was unintentional, but I think it worked. It's not a good place to play. It's a great place to play. I've seen it this offseason in particular. There's a lot of people that want to play here. So, Mike, does that actually feel more true now that somebody like, I don't know, Luis Severino signing with the A's for the largest A's contract in team history? What do you think?
Yeah, here's my response to those comments. I think it's something that you and I have always believed. Like, coming to the Angels is attractive. It wasn't as attractive as it once was, honestly, right? But it's always going to be attractive because there is an owner who does spend money. Maybe not like the Dodgers and other teams, but there is an owner who does spend money. Now, has made some mistakes by not spending around some of his big stars, although those big stars weren't on the field. That's not to excuse Artie, but it is a reality of what has happened. But this also, I think, goes against the narrative where everybody says, who would want to go to that dumpster fire? Who would want to go to that team? Nobody wants to come to Anaheim. I've never believed that. Neither have you. And the reason why I haven't believed that is because money talks, and it talks really loud. Mm-hmm. And there are some potential good leaders in baseball that want to come and make an impact. And so we mostly speak out of what we would do if we were in those shoes. And so when people say nobody wants to come there, no, what you're saying is you wouldn't come here.
Right.
And that's fine. You can't hit at all. So we don't need you on the team. But when somebody like a Luis Severino goes to, I was going to say Oakland, but now Sacramento, like he's choosing to play for that team. Why is he choosing to play for that team?
Yeah.
It's not like they had a great vision that won them over. It was the money. And that's what drives every free agent, whether we want to think that they're so sold out to winning or whatever might be the case. Money speaks really, really loud. Now, the Angels have to give a little bit more to get people to come because their narrative isn't great.
Just a little push. Just a little push.
But I mean, you look back, we just talked about it on yesterday's show, John. Bartolo Colon, Kelvin Escobar, Jose Guillen, Vlad Guerrero, they all came to Anaheim because it was an attractive place to come. It's probably not that easy now to get people here, but what Perry is saying, I think, has been true and has always been true. If Mike Trout's healthy, who doesn't want to play with Mike Trout, right? I want to be on that field with Mike Trout. I want to play with Ohapi and Neto and some of those young. Christian Moore fired me up when he was drafted last year. We're going to win. I'm a winner. We're going to win, right?
Yeah.
I want to play with people like that. That's attractive. And so when people say that nobody wants to come here, again, they're just talking about their perspective, which is a singular perspective and not true of everybody. And I think a lot of people want to come here. You just need a little extra incentive.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to talk about money talks. Look, I understand there's reports out there, Juan Soto saw the future of the Yankees and thought the Mets had a better, farm system and future. Somebody made Juan Soto mad because they wouldn't let his driver and family member. No, it was the extra, what was it, Mike? $5 million.
Here comes the money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact he gets a $500K suite for his family at MetLife,
and Cohen can do that. The owner can do that. He's got that resource to do that. $22 billion, assets. Like that guy is well set for the future.
Exactly. So it's those kinds of instances that make you remember, oh yeah, it is about the money. It is about the best deal. Privately, a friend of ours within baseball said, he was all over the Rendon and where's Garrett Cole going to go? And I said, would Garrett Cole have come here if they outbid the Yankees? He said, oh, in a heartbeat. Yep. He said that Garrett Cole was a fan of the team since he was a kid. That was a nice story, but he would have been in Anaheim in a heartbeat if they had beat the offer that the Yankees made him.
Absolutely. And that's, again, it's the money. Yes, people, I know they want to win, but you get set financially. That's beautiful. And then if you can help make the team win, that's even better. To affirm what we're talking about here, Perry did say that players see what the Halos are trying to build. He said, I think people recognize what we've been able to do here over the last couple of years. You have relationships with people, with agents, and they know what a good spot is and what a good spot isn't. I think people recognize throughout the game that we're a spot and we're a desirable place to play. I don't disagree with that. I think that the narrative has just been damaged because of what has happened the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But John, that can change with just one season.
Right.
Happened in Kansas City, right? That can change. They had 100+ losses. That can change. That can change in over a season. We saw that happen in Texas, right? And so this season, if the Angels get to 85, 87, 90 wins, then all of that narrative starts to go away because then the conversation becomes, wow, they got to 90 wins and they really didn't add big money free agents. They just built from within. They've got a Caden Dana and a George Clausen and a Sam Aldeguerri. And man, they have a lot coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot that will draw your eyes to this team. And all it takes is a quick season of actually being competitive, even if the Angels don't make the playoffs, John, in 2025. Like they get to 85, 86 wins, 84 wins, right? That's a great turnaround. That's a 20-game turnaround with a young core. A lot of people are going to go, maybe I can go, maybe my bat or my arm puts them over the top.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, we're sharing a trade candidate that fits the Halos. No, we're not doing that. That was yesterday's news, right, Mike?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Man, I'm the one who just had a newborn, and you're leaving all the stuff from yesterday in the notes. No, you know what we are going to talk about is the fact that this big Juan Soto deal kind of says something about where baseball is going, and we're wondering if the Angels are going to be part of that. We're going to get into all of that coming right up.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. And you can place a bet on FanDuel right now, and you can bet if Mike and John are going to continue to make mistakes on their show.
Correct. No, that's not actually on there. So.
That's not on there. But if it is, you should bet because it's going to happen. You can check out all that's on FanDuel right now, where you place your bets. They also have the live stats, play-by-play, all that good stuff. FanDuel's great. They want you to be a smart bettor. They want you to win. So visit their website right now, FanDuel.com. Join today. Again, $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel.com is where it's all happening. Don't waste a hunch. Make every moment more. FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Man, are there bags under my eyes yet? I feel like the lack of sleep here is really catching up with me here, Mike. That's what I'm a little bit worried about.
Just go with that excuse.
Yeah, that's what we're going to roll with on today's show. Hey, so Sunday night, Juan Soto signed that 15-year, $765 million deal with the Mets, has an opt-out after year 5. Remember, he's 26 years old, and I think that's a big part of why he got that deal.
Yeah.
If he doesn't exercise it, he will receive a $4 million raise each year and go from $51 million to $55 million in terms of annual average value. Mike, are you surprised he got a bigger deal than Ohtani? Because I was.
Yeah, very surprised. Very surprised because he's not the best player in the game. Shohei Ohtani is the best player in the game. And Shohei pitches and pitches well, right?
Right.
And so that $700 million deal that Shohei got over 10 years, man, people were like, that's wild. I'm shocked that Juan Soto got more. I mean, he's not a bad player. He is a great player. But Buster only did tweet, and I would love to hear your thoughts, but Buster only did tweet and said that this will probably be an anomaly. And it was kind of based off of what happened with Ohtani's contract. And then, Juan Soto played so well and went to the World Series. And I don't know if I agree with that at all, because baseball just seems to be going up and up and up. And when you get a really good player, you just throw a bunch of years at them. That's the thing that really shocked me too, was the 15 years that he is going to be on this team if he doesn't opt out. It's just wild to me. What are your thoughts?
It's very rare you get a free agent at 26 years old. And so everybody is just salivating at the idea that they can get somebody like Juan Soto and the caliber of his playing level. But I'm with you. He doesn't do both like Ohtani does. So I was pretty shocked about that. But the reason we're talking about this is because the Halos haven't spent money like this recently. Yeah. You think about the huge deal for Albert Pujols. You think about Rendon and what he was able to do with his annual average value. You think about the extension they gave to Mike Trout, which Trout would have totally got more in free agency, I think. Yeah. But because he wanted to stay in Anaheim, he signed the extension. Still a huge deal, the biggest contract technically at the time, even though it was an extension. Bryce Harper was young when he signed his contract with the Phillies. So this doesn't happen very often, but when it does, you see people jump at the chance to do it. And the Halos haven't done something like this in a very long time. Why do you think that is?
Honestly, John, I think what the strategy has been over the years is something we've talked about often, and Angel fans have talked about. You get the one star, throw some money at them, and that's going to be what brings eyeballs to the team. And there really wasn't a build that happened around that. It was the GM trying to figure out how to supplement the team with a very limited amount of resource, right? And so with an Albert Pujols signing also came a CJ Wilson signing, which was another big deal, right? But then the Angels made some really bonehead moves. They got rid of Torrey Hunter, didn't re-sign Zach Greinke, and they got Josh Hamilton. So I think what has happened with the Angels over the years, in Artie's mind, I've spent money. But the problem is that he spent bonehead money alongside good money, right? I don't think the Pujols deal was bad. I think it was good. And I was excited about it. I know over the 10 years, he wasn't the same player. We knew that was going to happen. But if you supplemented that with a great starting rotation and had a Zach Greinke on that rotation and a CJ Wilson and a Dan Hare, I mean, you're looking so good. But then they decided to not do those things, and they decided to get rid of clubhouse leaders like Torrey Hunter and bring in Josh Hamilton. I get that Artie says yes to spending the money, but I don't want to defend him. So I'm trying to watch my words here.
I hear you.
That was a Dipoto move, right?
Yeah.
That was a Dipoto move. We don't know how much influence Artie had over that, but it was a Dipoto move. So he deserves some of the blame as well. I know for a fact, you and I have had conversations with somebody who knew that Billy Epler was on his way to sign Zach Wheeler and was told to come back home and have a conversation with Anthony Rendon.
Right.
And so if Artie was as involved as he was with Epler, with Dipoto, then all blame goes to him. I think that's been the problem, John.
Mm-hmm.
One big signing, and then that should do it. He's thinking bottom line, not thinking competitive. He's not thinking building a team. Remember last year, there was a conversation where I think he said, or maybe Perry said, maybe he said, like, let's go get Trey Turner. And Perry was like, bro, we can't do that. And we can just do that.
Right.
Based off of what you gave me. So the reason why I think the Angels have not spent in the last few years is I think Perry Minasian has at least convinced Artie Moreno that we need to build from the ground up.
Yeah.
And we need to use our resource wisely, and we need to fill out the roster, or else the narrative of you had Ohtani, Trout, and Pujols, and you didn't do anything with that.
And Juan Soto. And
yes, you had all of these, and you didn't do anything with that. That narrative is never going to go away, Artie. So we have to approach this differently. So I think the reason, John, is a man named Perry Minasian.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, I think that when something like this happens in sports, and especially within baseball, this sets an entirely new precedent. I don't think it's an anomaly like Buster Olney. I think that this is the direction things are headed. And I understand it's Juan Soto. And I understand he's 26 and he gets this long contract. And I understand Steve Cohen has all the money in the world to do something like this. Mike, Albert Pujols, $240 million, 13 years ago now? Like that was like, oh my gosh, $24 million a year, right?
Yeah.
And even at the end of that contract, we were like, man, he's taking up so much salary space. And things are going to just get more expensive in baseball. And to me, the way you fight back against that is you have to build from the ground up. Mm-hmm. And you spent a lot of time last week talking about Rendon's contract and Trout's contract. Now you look at Trout's deal and you're like, man, they got their Juan Soto and it's Mike Trout. Yeah. It's just a shame he hasn't been able to stay on the field. And, God forbid that something happens to Juan Soto and he misses the next 4 years in the way that Trout has. And I'm not hoping that would happen, but people are going to have the same kind of conversations if he's not able to perform or be on the field. And again, there's no reason for me to believe that.
Right.
Just like there was no reason for me to believe that Trout would get hurt 4 seasons in a row. But what I'm trying to say is I think the Angels aren't in on these guys anymore because they have and have had their guys. It's supposed to be Trout. It's supposed to be Rendon. We've referred to them as the difference makers.
Yeah.
And it's all blown up in their face except for Shohei Ohtani. And Shohei didn't even get expensive until the end of his time with the Angels because of arbitration, right? He got the, international signing bonus and a minor league deal, just like Roki Sasaki's going to get. And to me, I think that the way you push back against where baseball is going is you have to build from the ground up. I posed a fun question at Super Halo Bros on Twitter. It's just a quick survey. I said, who gets the first $1 billion deal in MLB? Are they even in Major League Baseball? Maybe they're in the minor leagues, or are we just far away that, somebody said that they were like in the DR, playing on a dirt field somewhere, and that he'll be that guy. But do you look around the league, Mike, right now? Do you see somebody who maybe, I don't know, 6 years from now gets the first $1 billion contract? Or does that become the salary cap for players at an upcoming CBA? I know I gave you a bunch of questions there. What do you think?
I don't think there'll be a salary cap ever.
Okay.
I don't think they'll ever have a salary cap because I think the players will just not agree to that.
Yeah.
Second, the name that always pops into my mind, but he's got to really prove himself is Jackson Holiday. But I don't even know if Jackson Holiday is going to get to the level of a Juan Soto. Mm-hmm. However, I don't know if you need to get to that level to get that money.
And I think that's a really good point.
Because Willie Adame signed, and he signed a big deal with the Giants, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I want to go back and look at his numbers. John, those numbers aren't eye-popping.
He's good, but
not fantastic. 2 years ago, he hit 230. you know? And so I go, man, one big year and he got a great deal. And I don't knock it. Glad he got it, right? But I don't even know if the numbers constitute that huge of a salary anymore, which is why I think Shohei Ohtani's contract now seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because he's much better than Juan Soto. He's much better than Juan Soto as a hitter, and he pitches.
Well, it's funny. I was going to say, like, Ohtani does double the work, and somebody would tell me, well, Juan Soto plays right field. Have you seen Juan Soto play right field? Did you watch the World Series, guys?
Right. All right, Johnny, let's talk about one move that the Halos did make on Monday. Not a huge move. It was a move that was similar to what they did all last season outside of signing Robert Stevenson. They did sign right-hander Dakota Hudson to a minor league deal. Hudson's 30 years old, had a 6'17".
I love Hudson. She was in that movie with Denzel Washington. Oh, no, Dakota Fanning. My bad.
Yes. 6.17 ERA. He pitched for the Rockies last season, and he got designated for assignment in the middle of the year. He's won 16 games over 32 starts with the Cardinals as a rookie in 2019, but hasn't really done much since then. Perry said they saw enough of him last year to give him an amount that is basically a zero-risk opportunity. He said in St. Louis, he had a decent run. We had a couple of good years, so we thought we'd give him an opportunity to come here, make the team, learn how to pitch again, maybe see him in the rotation, maybe see him out of the bullpen. There's stuff there, he said. It's just he needs to be healthy and he needs to execute his pitches, all those types of things. And so Perry said, hey, low risk, a high reward if he ends up being really great, but he is a back of the roster, not even back of the roster, like even back of the roster type of player for the Halos, right?
Yeah, Jared Timms of Talkin' Halos had a great tweet that just kind of summed up some of Dakota Hudson here. In 2024, Hudson saw his lowest fastball velo and K percentage of his career, but the second highest ground ball percentage of his career at home, remember, with the Rockies, an 8.79 ERA in 43 innings pitched, a 358 batting average against, a 656 fielding independent pitching. So for all the factors that he could control, that's pretty bad. On the road, 46 innings pitched, a 3.72 ERA. So basically cut that bad ERA in half, 212 batting average against, 456 fielding independent pitching. And then from 2018 to 2021, Mike, here's his numbers: 249 and 2/3 innings pitched, a 3.14 ERA, 4.66 FIP. That is kind of concerning, but an 18.1% K rate, 11.3% walk rate, and a 5.3% barrel rate. From there, he did get more innings in 2022 to 24, more innings. The ERA went up to a 5. The FIP was about the same.
Yeah.
The strikeout percentage came down, the walk rate percentage came down, and he also got barreled up more. So again, I think that in this situation, I trust Perry Minasian and his team. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I trust the Angels and their ability to assess, hey, we could do something with that guy. I think we could get that guy. They did it with Carlos Estevez.
Yep.
And they actually gave him a good deal to be a closer. And, he's going to get a good deal this offseason from some team because he has been a great closer over the last few years. I know that we had our moments where we were frustrated and, he lost the season to the Mariners for us in 2023, but he turned it around and has been really great and yielded us some great trade pieces. They did it with Hunter Strickland last season. Gave him a minor league deal. Guy sitting at home thinking, maybe I should call it quits. Angels give him a minor league deal. Turned out really great. The reason I like this is because it is a low risk, high reward situation. Because, Mike, when Perry has spent money, he spent it on Steve Cishek, who, was decent. We got tired of him. We were over him. He spent it on Aaron Loop and Ryan Tepera, two guys coming off great seasons. And then they were not great for the Halos. And so to me, I would rather do something like this than to take that big risk on, hey, that bullpen guy was pretty decent last year. Let's bring him into our organization. I mean, look at Matt Moore. Matt Moore was phenomenal with us in 2023, and he was phenomenal with the Rangers in 22, and then he came over again last season and just couldn't replicate what he had been doing. And that goes back to relievers are the most volatile athletes in all of sports. I would say not just baseball, but all of sports, unless you're Jake Moody trying to kick a field goal for the 49ers and you never know what you're going to get. That's the bullpen pieces are the most volatile arms and players in all of sports. So to me, this doesn't bother me. It's a minor league deal. It's a drop in the bucket, not even a drop really. So I think that a lot of good can come out of this. How do you feel about it?
Johnny, I think this is a Kenny Rosenberg, Davis Daniel type of move. I know he maybe hasn't put up the numbers they have put up, but think about him coming in and how he pitched on the road. The Angels saw something and went, I think we can tweak that. I think we can adjust that. I was going to bring up Hunter Strickland. The Angels have proven that they can help these guys figure some things out. Problem is, when you lose 99 games, you don't see a lot of the good of people figuring some things out because it's so easy to focus on everything that fell apart, right?
Yeah, exactly. The win and loss record is what stands out to a lot of people. And you got to look at the nuance of baseball because it is one of the most, if not the most nuanced sport. Doing a lot of hyperbole as we wrap up the show today. So there you go. Going to be an interesting signing. Dakota Hudson. We'll see where he ends up on this Halo team in 2025.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB. You can find that show on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show, get in the comment section, hit that subscribe button. Even if you're an audio listener, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We want 10K by opening day, and it helps the show more than you know. Mike, speaking of the show, what do we have on deck for tomorrow?
Yeah, draft lottery happens today, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. So we're going to find out where the Angels are going to be picking. They have a 17.96% chance to get the number one pick. So we're hoping we get that. Wherever we land, we're going to talk about it, who we might get, all that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that. And if there's any breaking news, we'll keep you posted as well. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
We recovered nicely. We recovered really nicely.
I'm going to go get some sleep, man.
You have a kid. You can't do that.
I can't sleep anymore. Not allowed.